Hire a creator or hire a strategist?
Oh man, hire a strategist that can execute, that does both, which is, I would say, me. I fall in that category.
Claude or ChatGPT?
Claude.
Awesome.
ChatGPT's trash. I hope OpenAI isn't going to see this, but if they do,
Okay, Brett, very nice having you here.
Thank you.
Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes. Brett Jansen. I own 2 companies. So Health Tech House is a go-to-market agency for healthcare startups. And then Brett Jansen AI is AI coaching and enablement specifically for C-suite level executives, primarily private equity backed.
And your background, I was looking at your background a little bit, and you've led so many like sales teams, business development teams, just revenue teams. That's super impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been in healthcare about 17 years, which unfortunately is going to start to age me. And after taking a company public right around COVID, felt like a little burnt out, and as your CEO said, I felt like I was wanting more and I was made for more. So that's when I moved in consulting full time. And I've been doing it ever since, so about 5 years now. And I would say just the last 2 years is really when my business just completely exploded with the help of AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So how has your role changed now? Like since the AI has been such a big part of our role in go-to-market, right? Like how has your role changed because of it?
My first couple of years in consulting, I was doing a lot of fractional work, both fractional like CRO or CMO. And while I think that that's still a very lucrative business, I can't scale that beyond myself. So I started thinking bigger when AI came into play, because I could see that I could multiply a lot of the motions that I was doing with clients with the help of agents. And so instead of doing a lot of fractional work where I'm tied down to one client for any given time, I'm doing more project-based work. And, along with that, I introduced a go-to-market sprint. That's really where my business exploded. I would come in and do a very low-cost engagement, 4 weeks long, and I would audit the business across people, process, and technology to understand, why is their revenue stagnant, or maybe they've ran into an issue where they've missed their number. And then I would use AI to synthesize a lot of different motions within the business and give them a 90-day plan. That became incredibly lucrative. I did about 22 of those last year, and 70% of those converted into long-term clients, because I was able to provide them massive amounts of value, obviously leveraging AI, give them kind of an outside perspective of what's not working, and then hand them kind of the tools to go execute and fix the problem internally.
So what would you say is the lesson that or like the insight that a lot of more growth leaders should understand now that we have like the power of AI?
So I had a post that went viral on LinkedIn, because I've sat in the seat as a chief revenue officer, but I've also done a lot of fractional chief marketing work. I could see that there was a real friction between sales and marketing, constantly pointing fingers at like, marketing isn't bringing in enough leads. Well, sales, you're not closing the leads that we give you. So when I come in as an outsider now and can really point to, well, it's not just one issue, it's multiple issues, but give them kind of the unbiased perspective of what's not working, it really helped my role evolve as more of an advisor versus like a fractional help. And because I've been a CRO, I know what that ego feels like when marketing is not doing their job and you're missing your number. It's easy to point fingers at other leaders in the organization. So part of this audit that I do, this go-to-market sprint, is I interview all the leadership team, and sometimes I'll interview like the best sales rep or like the VP of marketing. I synthesize all those conversations in Claude, and I created quite a bit of different skills to help me get that set up. And then I put it in front of the CEO and say, this is what your problem is. And I think a lot of organizations, because you're in it, you can't see your way through the woods.
Yeah.
And you get really kind of tied down to a certain narrative. And so when I come in and say, you actually had a lot of leads come in, but your sales reps only converted 30% of them. When I listen to some of their conversations, this is why. Same with the sales reps. Like, your sales reps are just sitting back waiting for leads to come in. And when I, met with them, there was a lot of opportunity for them to be doing their own outbound, and they're not doing any of that. So let's help to provide them with better tools maybe it's a sales enablement guide or a one-pager or whatever it may be, to help them feel more confident going out into the market and selling and not waiting for marketing to do that.
For sure. So what's the most useful tool you think that a lot of growth teams should be building right now and should be investing in?
That's a good question. I'm going to mention two specific tools. So I use Perplexity a lot for market research and also setting up competitive intel dashboards for my clients. So I kind of think of it in layers. So I'll start with a macro level, think of like a McKinsey level, like market analysis, depending on what the segment is. If they're, in healthcare, maybe they're doing care coordination. And then I'll go a layer deeper with Perplexity and say, like, who are the different buyers involved in this process? What do they care about? What is their career path? Because I work with a lot of enterprise clients and they're dealing with multiple stakeholders, it's not just about the product being the best or the story being the best, but like, what is the career projection for Mr. VP of finance? Is it CFO? Well, what does that person need to do to get a win in the organization so they're not being burned by a vendor? Then I take it a next layer deeper, and then at that point I'll fold in the client's like pitch deck or something, and it can create a really good sell against competitive dashboard. That Perplexity dashboard then will run and pull in market intel, and we'll continue to refine it, and then we'll use that for content generation, for refining the pitch deck, for really anything that kind of becomes the foundation of all other assets that we're building, because we built it on market intel, not just gut instincts.
I love that. It's just not like that spray and pray method. It's like, let's create a lot of content.
Yes.
You just like identify what is worth your time.
Yes.
And then you get mileage out of the content, right?
Absolutely.
Because you distribute it in so many different ways.
Yes. Yeah.
That's such a good point.
The content gets so hyper tuned to the buyer to the point where when you finally do get Mr. CFO on the call, they'll be like, I feel like I know you guys already because your content is so laser into what I'm dealing with on a Monday morning. Not you're just trying to throw a product pitch deck at me that I have no idea how this could help solve a problem for me specifically. I think AI gives us the ability to do that at scale, when before, like if you're doing like account-based marketing, it would take a month just to set up one campaign. And now you can do it hyper-curated, hyper-personalized for each organization and for each buyer within the organization.
How do you see just trying things out and experimentation with AI versus building full-on systems with AI? What do you think growth teams should be doing right now?
I'm a good incubator. I carry, as an individual business owner, about $4,000 a month in tech debt. And I do that intentionally because half of it's set aside for R&D and the other half is how I actually run my business. But, part of my job is to come in and advise what tools or what vendors that they should be working with that are AI enabled, because everybody's saying they're AI enabled now. So I won't advise any client to use anything unless I've actually tested it in my own environment. So I think going back to the question, I really hope that organizations stop trying to just deploy AI enterprise-wide without really understanding what specific problem are you solving for. I see a lot of companies that we're going all in on ChatGPT Enterprise. I'm like, great, what are the use cases for it? Yeah. So I'm excited to partner with organizations like ChiliPiper and Gong to solve a very specific use case, and then layer it on and say, okay, we've got ChiliPiper. Now let's put this in place. Let's solve this particular motion. Then we can use it at scale for other, we can incorporate Claude for the next layer of it. But always starting with where is the bottleneck? What can we automate? What is the specific tool that's going to fix that? And then deploy the AI next.
Yeah. Start with why, right?
Yes.
That's such
Start
an
with
old
why.
concept.
Simon, yep.
I feel like that book has been released 20 years ago, but
Absolutely.
It still
I think it was more
true.
25 years ago, but yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
True. So in the world where, AI tools and everyone has access to Claude, everyone has access to everything, what do you think is our differentiator? What do you think is the moat?
I think number one is understanding what what these LLMs are. I think a lot of people are still using them as a search engine. And so, they get in there, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and they just ask like, write me an email for blah, 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 or who are my competitors? Again, going back to this like layer concept, I think you have to focus on the context that you're giving it, assign it a role. And I know that there's a lot of prompts that are like, act as a, but it really does matter to give it the right context. Otherwise, we all know it will hallucinate and give the wrong answers. Or, organizations that are still using it like a chat, a search engine. So as long as the organizations are setting up the project within Claude, as an example, with the right context, the right instructions, giving it the right files so it's constantly iterating on that, and then going deeper, creating skills files that are going to be applicable to that workflow. A lot of organizations are not taking the time to set it up correctly. They're just deploying it and just like hoping for the best. I think the organizations that do that effectively with strong operational backbone, even SOPs, creating that parameter is going to be the ones that see ROI out of AI versus just adding another piece of technology to their existing messy tech stack and really just adding more complexity to something that already wasn't working.
Absolutely. We faced very recently that same problem. And like now, finally, like in the last few weeks, we were working from one GitHub repo where that's the source of truth. That's where all the skills live. That's where all the positioning lives and the branding lives.
Absolutely.
It's been a game changer for sure.
Set the foundation first.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Brand or pipeline?
Pipeline. Pipeline is what generates revenue and closes deals. Brand's important for the 3-year outlook, but pipeline is ultimately what is going to allow the company to exist in 3 years.
Hire a creator or hire a strategist?
Oh man, hire a strategist that can execute, that does both, which is, I would say, me. I fall in that category.
AI agent or junior marketer?
I'd have to say AI agent, unfortunately.
Yeah. Build community or buy ads?
That's been discussed a lot this week.
Yeah.
I think it depends on your long-term objective. If you're a B2B community, if you're a direct consumer, ads.
Yep, makes sense. Founder-led content or brand content?
Founder-led content only if they are charismatic enough to deliver it. Otherwise, focus on the brand.
Outbound or content?
Content.
AEO or SEO in 2027?
AEO.
Chasing MQLs or time to kill MQL?
I would say kill, only because I've seen that friction between the two teams, and I think it's one of the number one things that ruin internal relationships between sales and marketing.
Run the playbook or burn the playbook?
Brand and playbook.
Ship fast and ugly or ship slow and polished?
Ship fast and ugly.
Claude or ChatGPT?
Claude.
Awesome.
ChatGPT's trash.
Agreed. That's it.
I hope OpenAI isn't going to see this, but if they do, I will.